Welcome to Super Thundercast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Chris. Oh shit, the bed.
Hello. Chris's computer died whilst recording the latest podcast.
Free computer crash.
Please wait while the Super Thundercast technicians fix this problem. Thank you for your patience.
Are we starting again?
Yeah, we may as well.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Super Thundercast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Chris.
And today we're going to talk about...
Open world games.
That's right. That's right.
See, interestingly, the fact that we've just had a fuck up and we've started again goes back to one of my things about open world games. How often do you end up going through the beginning of one going, still don't know what I want to play as. I still don't know why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Hundreds of hours of trolling around. Need to make sure that my face that I'm never going to see for the rest of the game looks alright.
Right. Yeah. See, now that, well, I could get really granular, but I like what they've done with Monster Hunter with that, where like you've got cutscenes where you see your character and stuff, so it's like, yeah, that's me.
It's me.
That's me.
Don't look quite like I did in the character creation system, but it's not like... It's like an inverse Two Worlds.
Yeah.
It's like
alright, maybe a little better, but...
I might look slightly more chiseled. Not like Two Worlds where you go into the first dungeon as one ethnicity and come out at the end as the character you designed and you can't explain it. It was like, what the fuck is this? But yeah. We're going to talk about open world games today because we thought about doing a Western RPG episode.
Mm-hmm.
Then we realised that a lot of Western RPGs have become more open world games.
Well, and also the fact, mainly...
You've not played any of
that
them.
I don't really play them. I can probably count the amount of Western RPGs I've played on one hand.
Do it. Go.
Mass Effect 1.
Yeah.
Mass Effect 2.
2. Yeah.
Skyrim.
Oblivion. Witcher 3.
Yeah. Fallout.
You can still count these on one hand. You are from Chorley. They're a bit of northern humour.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
No,
I don't actually have 6 fingers.
They're not going to like that in Chorley, but...
I don't think anyone from Chorley listens, so...
They're not going to listen to anything they download off the internet. They think it's a soul trapped in a machine.
Right. No, but, yeah, open world games are really fucking weird because because it started off as kind of almost like a subset of games, not really a mechanic, I don't even know what you'd call it really, like a setting choice almost.
I almost look at it as they were games that were almost, open world games were kind of, like, to me, my introduction to them were the Elder Scrolls. And they've always been massive.
Yeah.
Like, even the ones before Oblivion and Morrowind, like Daggerfall and Arena and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was kind of that thing where they had loads of stuff because they wanted you to go off and explore and have lots to do in a game. But more modern ones, I always think that the choice should be made in terms of the setting that we want to put our story in.
Yeah.
Is good enough and could have enough stuff in it that you want to go and look around. Whereas the worst open world games are just...
Here's a load of specs on maps and it's up to you to kind of clear them.
And it's like the most interesting way to take in that world is to just follow the story. Whereas you don't necessarily need it to be open world.
No.
Like, Brutal Legend is an open world game. And it doesn't fucking need to be.
No.
And it's kind of that we'll come back to that later, but it's kind of, that's what I mean, like, you've got this setting and this environment that you go, yeah, let's throw it open, let people explore, but if there's nothing to do in that environment,
it
gets very tedious, very boring, very quickly.
Well, it's like what? It's like one of the things I think with not Western RPGs, with open world games is the worst ones are always, it's essentially like just playing a linear kind of level-based game, but the levels are just really wide and really linear, and there's no real need to go and explore. It's just like you're essentially just following a path.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like the best examples that I can think of, they have a world that not necessarily that you care about, but one that you want to kind of see more than what they're just showing you initially.
Yeah.
And it
You want to kind of go and see what's behind that
Yeah.
curtain that's around it almost.
exactly.
Because it's like, so you said, it's like you've got those kind of open worlds where it's kind of, it's just a really wide level.
Yeah.
Hitman is basically a big arena, sandbox is a level to play around in, but you're kind of within set confines.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like there's a lot of open world games that could just work as, oh, your character has gone to this town,
Well,
and there's a couple of missions within that.
That's one of the
Confined.
reasons. That's one of the reasons why I think Metal Gear Solid 5 did really well. It didn't go full open world, because can you imagine how boring that would have been?
Oh,
If it was
Jesus,
full open world and you had to go from one place to another the way, like, walk it, or nick a van and go.
Or on your horse.
Yeah, and it's like, I like
Riding the dog.
I like the fact that the way that they did it the way that they did it. I think that was a really good kind of design choice where they went, it's not necessarily, the open world isn't, like, the open worldness of this game isn't necessarily about the world, it's about how you interact with the world.
Yeah.
And that's another way of doing them, really, I'd say. And
I would, after you've mentioned that, I would really, really have loved Kojima to have been like, you know what, I'm out, fuck Konami, and he puts in a fast travel Easter egg that you can only get partway through the game, and it's just Snake getting a piggyback off Quiet.
can ride one of your companions.
It's literally, or you're faulting yourself to different places and just have to pop the balloon. It's just like,
You know, I wouldn't have put that past him. Like, that sounds like such a Hideo Kojima thing to be able to do.
faulting yourself.
Yeah. But, yeah, they're very odd, because in the last few years, like probably in the last 10 years, they've become
Their own
their own
genre.
genre. And, like, it's very, I can't think of another kind of thing in games where that's become the case.
It's become the emergent genre.
Yeah.
Because everything else had already existed before we kind of got into
Yeah.
gaming, but like the open world thing is kind of, it was there because obviously you had like
The first Legend of Zelda and
like
stuff
the
like
past and
that.
stuff, and even like the old sort of Metroid games and Castlevania and stuff. I mean, it's a very, it's a very specific thing, but you can. There's a lot of backtracking, like Metroidvania kind of.
Yeah,
stuff. It's the
Metroidvania is
precursor to it all, isn't
pretty
it?
much, yeah. It's like they're kind of gated. Like the only thing that precludes them is the fact that they're gated by you don't have this ability yet. You've got to go down this path to get the ability, and then you can go and explore. Whereas like a truly open world game is like you can fuck off all the missions and just go from there to the other side of the map
And see what's what. I mean, open world games will still have that kind of, oh, you can only get in here with this ability, or we're doing this, or getting at this point in the story. But normally, that's just keeping you from non-essential stuff, isn't it? And it's like, or it's a way of railroading you, because like Monster Hunter does it. There's like bits of maps you can't get through
until
because you've not got later on in the story. And
well, it's like Grand Theft Auto did it as well. Like Grand Theft Auto 3
with
did it with the island and the bridges and stuff, and it's like, I can't quite think of why they did that, but it made sense at the time, and there was kind of so much, like Rockstar are an example of a company that I think get open world games really right, because there's loads to, if there might not be like hundreds of millions of things to do, but
it's a world that feels lived in.
Yeah,
which
like
is what you want.
Grand Theft Auto 5 is unbelievable, like the level of detail in that game, like how like cars sound differently depending on how long you've been driving them and stuff like that, and the fact that like you can hear like the metal compressing like when you turn the engine off and it cools down a bit. Like, I can't think of another game that's got that much detail in it.
I really wish. They might have actually done it. I've not paid enough attention to GTA 5 on the PS4. But patching the ability to use VR with it. So, you know, like the first person, you have to play it in first person, but you can use a controller.
Yeah.
But you've got your, like, the first person field vision. That would be fucking mental.
Yeah.
Although it would be really weird if it made it so you had to do all the cutscenes from someone's point of view.
Yeah, it would be odd.
Can you imagine the first time you play the trip, you're like, hang on, I'm shagging someone. Like, I don't know if I like this.
Yeah. Right, it's
Trophy Dings, lol, fucked a junkie.
no, it's a weird one. Like this new kind of way that open worlds are like. It's almost like an afterthought a lot of the time.
Now it's just we've made an open world.
Yeah, and it's like, did it have to be? Like, really? With like the way that you want your game to play, does it benefit from being in an open world? Like, that's the main question, really, with a lot of them. And that's what,
it's like
our question later on.
You can do it, but it's a question of whether you should, because it's sort of, from a story standpoint, you need to make sure that your locations and everything is just, it needs to have something to it that pulls you into it, whereas it's like, I think it's easier to think of really bad examples of where stuff has been done where it shouldn't necessarily, or where an open world has been done kind of badly.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, I mean, like, I've talked about it on here before, things like Kingdoms of Amalur.
Yeah.
That does it where it's, here is your forest area, here is your desert, here is a mountain, here is a, like, tundra-y, oceany bit, and it's like, here are some cities. Everybody hates one another. Off you go. You are the chosen one, kind of.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate that in open world games. Like
the one
I just want to be a person there, which is what I kind of hoped No Man's Sky was going to be. And then it was like, holy crap, there's actually nobody on this. It's just like, it was the idea of what I thought that was going to be versus what it was.
Yeah.
It was kind of, in my head I was going, this is kind of what I've always wanted an open world game to be. It's like, he's going to give me a world, and me and my mates can just go and cut about on it and see what's what, and then it went, now mate.
See, one game that I think didn't have a whole lot to do in it, but was still fun, and this was because of how good how good and solid the mechanics were, and it was Crackdown.
Yes.
I think the original Crackdown, like, and it was the same with...
You could drop in and out of co-op on the original Crackdown as well, though, so you could set stuff up. Like, I remember me and my friends spawning tons and tons and tons of barrels, like as many as we could, and then driving the squad cars into them, covered in remote explosives, just to see if we could crash for Xboxes. Because we were idiots. We were like, let's see what happens.
But it's like Infamous does it as well, where it's actually the mechanics of being in that world open a lot of opportunity, and open a lot of opportunities for fun, I should say.
Yeah.
And I think Crackdown does that. I think Infamous does it. I mean,
Batman does it. Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
But that's a different point about open worlds I'm going to make in a minute.
Yeah, I mean,
Red Dead does it really well.
Red Dead does it really well. Like, it's really fun to be a cowboy in Red Dead. It's really fun. And it's like, but that's another open world where there isn't necessarily a whole lot in it, but what you have is kind of enough to keep you interested.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to the whole kind of idea of, like I was saying, like, there needs to be a story hook and a reason for it.
Yeah.
You've got these big, lonely plains, and then you've got these cities that are developing, and it's kind of... Red Dead Redemption's kind of at the end of the kind of Wild West era, isn't it?
You feel like a bit of a dinosaur rolling into a town, and like...
There's cars and people with like 1911s and stuff, and you're there like...
Yeah, like when you get to what's the city at the end.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah, and it's like there's actual buildings and there's actual, like, roads. And, like, you start a gunfight and then you immediately get fucked up by the police because they're, like, actually well armed and stuff. And it's like... I mean, granted, you could survive quite well in it, but it's like... It feels like a world moving on, like you're left behind.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why that game is so fucking good.
Whereas... most open world games do it the other way around. It feels like by the end of it, you are the most powerful, all-conquering thing in it, whereas Red Dead will constantly have you being, it's you, and if you're outside, it's you versus whatever the fuck wants to eat you or rob you.
And, I mean,
it feels like a harsh world, whereas...
Yeah.
I mean,
that's kind of, to be fair, that's kind of like what Horizon's like as well. Like, it's got that feel of not necessarily a survival game, but it's like there's that element of
there's more tactics involved in how you're going into a fight as opposed to just I have best gear for this point in game.
Yeah.
I am all conquering. It's
Exactly.
like, you still, like, even if you've got, because I've been doing the DLC, it's like, even if you've got the strongest armor and the fully upgraded spear and the best possible weapons for that point in the game,
Yeah.
if you get a fight wrong, you'll still die.
Yeah.
And that's the impetus on it, is that you should never feel... Again, an open world game tends to like to make the player feel powerful, but I don't like it when they make you feel so powerful that nothing worries you anymore.
Well, that's one of the problems with Assassin's Creed, I think, or the older Assassin's Creed anyway. It was that the world was kind of uninteresting. Like, it was... Assassin's Creed 2 got it kind of right. Like, that was another example of where the mechanics were kind of fun enough for you to kind of ignore that there wasn't a whole lot to do. But...
Plus, it was such a jump from the one before.
Yeah,
as well,
exactly.
Which threw you.
Well, the one before it is
Dull.
kind of like... Yeah, it's kind of like a perfect example of...
It was...
You're so powerful. Every fight is so easy. There is no point in actually going to explore anything because there's nothing there. It's just a case of you may as well go from one story point to another story point and just get out the fucking way.
That's the thing. Ubisoft have kind of cornered the open world that may not necessarily need to be as open as it is genre. But I think what they did with Origins by giving it that longer lead time and stuff, it's helped them massively. And I kind of hope that that's what's happened with Fallout, Fallout Far Cry as well.
Everything that I've seen of Origins is that it seems a lot more thought out. Like, it's not just
run up this thing and jump off it on someone.
Yeah, it's more like, can I actually win this fight? And holy shit, there's some pretty powerful guards in there. I've got to prepare myself for this one. I can't just run in.
You still
which is
get
kind of fun.
You still get to a point, depending on what you've got gear-wise and how you approach a fight and stuff. You still get to these points where you, by the end of it, you do feel like a bit of a beast. Like, you just walk into somewhere and be like, right, let's have it. But if there's a lot of people, it's like, right, how do I pick a couple of them off? How do I do this? But it kind of makes sense that by the end of that game, you feel kind of empowered because you're the first assassin.
Yeah, you've become the first assassin.
You're the ones who, like, start it all off. So you should feel skilled and you should feel like you're capable of a lot. But you also feel like you're much more capable than the people that follow on from it, which is... It might not even be the intention, but the fact that by the end of it, Bayek feels like the most fun to play out of all of the assassins in all of the games, and he feels the most well equipped, and he feels like he's the best one to control and all this sort of stuff. Having the latest game be a prequel that kind of sets a new tone for it going forward by having the best assassin to play as being the first one, and everything that follows is building on a legacy from that.
Yeah.
I think might be me reading too much into it.
Yeah.
But it's like quite a clever way to reset a franchise that's got really stale.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you've got who set it up and they have to live up to that, as opposed to all the ones from like the Desmond sort of story arc that they told, who were all a bit shit. They're all a bit...
Ezio.
You spent longer with Ezio as a character than any of the other ones, which is why I think people like him.
Yeah.
Whereas the rest of them have all been one game, kind of one note, I want revenge kind of character.
Yeah.
I mean, Ezio started off as that, but then they evolved and grew the character, which is what worked.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing that they do really differently, and a lot of open world games I think should do more of, is Horizon is another example. Give you a character, don't give you an avatar.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can work. It used to work really well. Like the original Legend of Zelda is an example of, like, there's not really a character; it's just kind of you in that world. And I think that worked at the time, but now I think, especially if a world isn't particularly interesting, you need to kind of have that grounding. Like you say, you need to have a story that interests you to get you to go and have a look around a bit further and push the boundaries of what the missions are asking you to do and stuff like that. There needs to be that impetus to do more needs to come from somewhere.
Yeah, instead of it playing like a bad D&D campaign.
Yeah.
Which is what a lot of the Western ones, because they tend to be either, we said it last week, they tend to either be high fantasy or science fiction, but they all play in terms of you've been wronged, you want revenge, or look, your quest for revenge ties into this overarching evil plot.
Well, I loved Mass Effect 2, and I think Mass Effect 2, because of like the fact that you could go and pick up all these different characters and they each had their own missions, and
you can change the ending based on your interactions.
yeah, like I loved that. Like Mass Effect 2 is, I'd say, like, I mean, out of the one hand's worth of Western RPGs I've played, I'd probably say that's my favourite one. Because I met absolutely everyone in that game, even the shitty DLC characters. And, like, it was a lot of fun. Like, that was kind of the impetus to be going to and from it, really. Like,
Yeah.
And I liked that, because it made the galaxy feel interesting. Like, it made it feel like it was actually full of people, and not just shitty NPCs. I will say, though, that one game that I think gets open worlds really wrong, like the wrongest, I would say, is Fallout games.
Yeah.
Or at least Fallout 3 anyway, because Fallout New Vegas, I think, had a really good story. But Fallout 3, where it's just kind of like, it was more of the novelty of the time of wandering around this huge post-apocalyptic landscape.
And
But
Fallout 4 does it. You're wandering around going,
well, Fallout 4 is the
This
biggest
is-
crime, because
this is dull as fuck.
well, there's such a fucking jump between what you can do on a PS3 and what you can do on a PS4, and they essentially just made Fallout. This is going to sound really glib, because of course, like, there's people working on it for ages, and they had to make an entirely new map and all that, but they didn't think about anything new they could do. They just kind of got the old design philosophy and just kind of put it into the next one.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
it's
like-
like, you can manage a town.
Yeah.
I don't want to manage a town. I want to drift through these towns. Stop sending me things saying this town's fucked. Go
Yeah.
help it.
And I might be out of line here as well, but it's like, I don't think Bethesda tells stories very well. I don't, well...
They don't, because
those guys-
it's that the loosest possible story thread to pull you across a map.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want a story where I feel compelled to do it, but if you're trying to compel me to do that, but you want me to explore, it's almost like you can't tell that strong a story.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like,
Well, it's really funny.
it's like The Witcher kind of tells quite a nice story, but it doesn't necessarily encourage you to explore. It's just the world makes you just look about and go, oh, what's that over there? Oh, what's this? What's that?
Well, and the
Do your
thing is, as
contract.
well, The Witcher does the same kind of thing that Red Dead Redemption does, where you can be riding along somewhere and you'll see something in the distance, and that'll open up in Red Dead, it didn't really open a quest line as
But it
such,
was some
but-
nice environmental storytelling
Yeah.
and stuff, for like a little side distraction or something.
Yeah, whereas in The Witcher, I mean, that can open up an entire quest line, and it's, that
Yeah.
will have implications down the line and stuff like that. Like, The Witcher 3 anyway is a really stunning piece of work when it comes to open world games, because it's just packed. Like, it's packed full of content. And another thing that annoys me about open world games, which I'm not sure happens as much because I never finished it, but I find, like, especially with the Bethesda ones and the ones that I've played, I'd spend so much time doing side quest stuff, the main quest feels like an afterthought, and it's just kind of like the way for me to go, alright, I'm finished with this now, I may as well go and do the main quest. Whereas in The Witcher, it kind of didn't feel like that. There was loads and loads of side stuff, but I was always really interested in what was going to happen in the main story. Granted,
you
still
kind of-
not finished it, but
I like the main story in The Witcher because it kind of goes, it's your introduction to an area, and then it's just Geralt's here. What does Geralt get up to? And then you get through a lot of it and you go, right, what's the next bit of the story?
yeah,
And that kind of takes you to the next section, and it kind of, the main story quest sort of encourages you to go to the different disparate areas of it,
Yeah.
and they're all like as isolated things. You've kind of got one you've got like the mainland, and then you've got Skellige, and you've got like the mountains where Kaer Morhen is, which is like the small one, and then you get Tucson, which is like the Med.
yeah,
kind of
that's
style
the
is
Blood and
the one-
Wine one,
yeah,
isn't it?
you get that bit as well, and you've kind of got these different areas. They're all very different. They're all fucking pretty, but they've all got a lot crammed into them. And it's like,
Well, it's
then you look at Skyrim and you go, there's literally fuck all to do between me and this house, or me and this point,
well, it's
other
really
than going
funny.
a cut and paste dungeon from the previous game almost.
Well, it's really funny with what's it called, with The Witcher. Like, I thought I got to a town, but I hadn't got to a town.
You got to a thing you had to liberate, didn't you?
I
Or
got
a ruin full of monsters.
Well, no, not that. I got to like a very small village, and then I got to a town, and then I was like, this is pretty big, and then
You got to a city.
I was like, holy shit.
it's like
It's like
you
a city.
You
It's
go,
like- there's
it's like
loads of people
you're
around.
pottering along, aren't you? You go to like at the start of it, where you're doing all the bloody barren stuff, and you've got like the little towns, and then you go, oh, we're going to send you over to Oxenfurt. You go to Oxenfurt, and you go, this is pretty big. This is like capital city in most games. Then you go to Novigrad, and you go,
You're like,
oh shit. It's like playing Neverwinter. It's
Yeah.
like-
exactly, and it's like that's one of the things that I love about The Witch, and why I think it is probably the best example so far of an open world RPG, because it's nothing is really sacrificed
Yeah.
in it.
I've made
And-
myself really sad now I've said that.
Why?
Because now all I want is a big single player open world game set in the Forgotten Realms. You're like a big D&D setting kind of thing. But just like, imagine that. It's a big single player game. But you could also, if you wanted, party up with your mates, go in a dungeon, and one of you is randomly selected to be a dungeon master
That'd be pretty cool.
as a multiplayer mode. Fuck. Oh, that's made me sad that
Learn
that
to make
doesn't
games.
exist. Aye.
Learn to make games and make it.
Let me go write them.
But,
So,
yeah.
right, let's start looking through some of these questions then. What is... Alright, well, we've sort of talked about all this. Here we go. How have expectations of environments changed along with the open world genre? We kind of touched on this, because it's like you kind of expect more from your environments if it's an open world game.
Yeah, if
It's not just a backdrop to a set piece, it's you're going through this thing.
Well, in a lot of ways, like Breath of the Wild is a good example of this. It's like Hyrule is a character, I think, in that game. Like, it feels like, because it's kind of hollowed out and it's kind of trying to get back on its feet.
Yeah.
It's got an atmosphere to it, and that's one of the things that I really love in games, is when there's a really kind of powerful atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I think a good open world game should always have that kind of feeling like, yeah, I'm playing this game, not just I'm in a fucking high fantasy open world and that's it.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like-
look, a goblin. Right then, so let's do this first question. What is your favourite open world? What is your least favourite open world?
Do you want to go first? Or can you not think of one?
I can think... right, my favourite is either, despite the pasting we've given Skyrim and Fallout stuff, it's either Oblivion,
Oblivion.
because it was like the first proper big open world where you just went, ooh.
Well, I've got a story about the Elder Scrolls games. I could have actually played Morrowind. Well, I couldn't, but I'll get into it. Like, I got Morrowind. I saw, actually, a TV show on Sky. Remember there was I can't remember the name of the show, but it was like a video game review show
Yeah,
that used
I
to be
know
on
what you mean.
Sci-Fi Channel, I
Yeah.
think. And they were saying, oh, it's like you can do anything in this game. You can, look, I can go in here, I can pick an apple up and stuff like that. I was like, this looks pretty good. Imagine that, an entire world in your computer kind of thing. Like, I was amazed by it. I went and got it. And my PC couldn't run it. It could only, it installed it, but every time I tried to run it, I get to like the first bit, but my graphics card was really fucking bad. Like, it was a
It
Voodoo
was crapped
3 or
out.
something. It's completely crapped out. So I went to shop where we got it from, which was a small independent shop in Leyland called Leyland Games.
It's not there anymore, is it?
No, it's now Tattoo Parlour, which I think is also been shut down. But the guy told me that the expansion, Tribunal, I think it was called,
Yeah.
oh, it'll fix that. So essentially, he sold me something else that I couldn't fucking play.
What a dick!
Oh yeah, I was only like 11 at the time. Like,
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't
it
know
came out when
anything.
we were like, it came out when we were pretty young. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
was
got
like
it.
11. I was really young because there was a really fucking big gap between that and Oblivion.
Yeah, because I remember when Morrowind came out, because it came out on the PC, and then it came out on the original Xbox, and everyone was like, "Oh, holy shit!" Because it was like an Xbox game, and everyone was like, "This is what consoles are now capable of."
Yeah.
But I remember I got my first PC, and I remember I went into HMV in town, and they had the box set of Oblivion, Tribunal, and Blood Moon for a tenner.
Morrowind Tribute.
Yeah, Morrowind, Tribunal, and
Blood Moon.
Blood Moon. Oh, is it Blood Moon?
Yeah, it's one about werewolves,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, because it's the one set in a bit of Skyrim.
Hmm.
And I got that, and I took it home, and I got it on a Friday, because we had like a half day from school. So me and some friends went to town and bought it, and it was the summer holidays, and I got it home and I installed it. And I can't remember the rest of that summer holiday.
Yeah.
It was, but the thing with that was that it was like Oblivion took out a lot of stuff that was in that game, like the amount of different armor options and stuff you had, and a lot of the weapon options. But they put in a lot of quality of life changes,
Yeah.
like the compass. You literally had to There was a fucking thing in that where they would direct you to quests by giving you directions to put in your journal.
I like that.
Yeah, but there was one that was walk down this road in a forest, turn left at a tree, was one of the directions, and you were like, hey.
Which tree?
It's like, so you followed the road and went, it'll be the tree that looks like it's pointing. Lo and behold, there was a tree that was all arced and pointing. And there's a bit where you have to go to a mountainside at a specific time of day, and it's got 2 trees near it.
Yeah, I love that
And one tree's really high up and one's quite low down, and you've got to get to a point between them. So you look, and the mountain's sort of there, but then you can see there's a flat bit. So you get on that at night, and it all fucking lights up, and you get your prophecy and
That's
stuff. And
really
it's like,
cool. See, now that
I'd
makes
love
a
an
good
option to be
open
able to
world RPG.
put that back in, but let people have the compass if they want. Like, sure, but not like your objective is over there, or it may be
Well,
like
that's
if you're
the fucking enemy of exploration.
give me a little compass
thing.
that just tells me what direction I'm pointing in. But if you've got like, say you've got like a perception or an exploring skill, the more that goes up, the more it sort of hints that there's something maybe over somewhere, just like a dot. So you're walking along and it's like, so you know, like on Oblivion where it goes, oh, there's a dungeon there, oh, there's a town there, oh, there's a castle there. It'll kind of, as you're walking along, it'll tell you stuff like that. And if you've been somewhere, you can work out where landmarks are and it'll put them on the map. But it doesn't just tell you they're nearby. You have to almost level up your expertise in looking for stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But I like the idea of that. Like, that sounds really cool, like the whole giving directions thing. Like, I would prefer that over the fucking really obnoxious UI that you kind of used to with shitty open world games.
Or go and unveil this bit of this map by climbing this thing and pushing a button. I fucking hate that.
Horizon does it, but Horizon does it in a really cool way, but it's still relatively the
Tedious,
same thing.
isn't it? It's like,
Yeah.
climb this thing and go, oh look, it showed me the map. I don't like that.
No. I like to be on the ground and kind of... I want to orienteer. I want to go orienteer.
You want a cartographer skill.
Yeah.
You want it to build the map for you. But it's like...
I mean, they're not strictly not really open world games, but they were kind of billed as such. But Dark Souls had a really good way of doing it. In Dark Souls 2, anyway, you had like your little hub town, and you could go back there in the bottom of this house that you had to kind of fight through to get to the basement of. There was a massive book with a map, and if you rescued this cartographer guy, he kind of stayed back, and it would kind of show you the general direction that you're supposed to go in, because the way that world's organised is you've got your hub town, and then
Everything
each one
kind of
like
comes
comes
out
off
of
in
it.
like a spoke, whereas like Dark Souls 1 is more like kind of levelled
Yeah.
in like a more traditional kind of way, but that's a really cool way of doing like the open world thing. I think is like having something not necessarily emergent, that's the wrong word, but something that like not that you can miss. Like that makes it sound really fucking sadistic, where it's like, yep, you can't figure out where you're going because you didn't do this one little thing, but it's
But yeah.
but it's a nice little way of doing it, I think.
Yeah. So my favourite open world then is Oblivion.
Right. It's a good one.
Do you want to do your
My
favourite one
favourite.
first, and then we'll do our worst ones?
Ooh, favourite open world.
Is it one of the Pokemons?
No. No.
If you say Azeroth, I'm going to throw you out my house.
I did used to play quite, not as much as some people admittedly, but I did used to play quite a lot of World of Warcraft, and it was a lovely world to be in.
Do you think open world games then maybe came around as a way of competing with the MMO?
Well, I can remember having really big arguments with my friends who used to play a lot of MMOs, and they'd say, this is the future of video games. And I'd be playing something like Oblivion, and I'd be like, no, I much prefer this.
They said MMOs are the future of video games.
No, but if you've got to think of World of Warcraft back in the day,
Well, it was kind of
probably fucking
transformative.
felt like it. It probably felt like it was, and I came to World of Warcraft quite late. But when you were doing something with a load of other people, and you were all communicating with each other and that kind of stuff, and you had to go and find things, it was a lot of fun. There hasn't been anything really like that since.
I just used to love annoying people who played World of Warcraft. I remember, because it came out sort of like the tail end of being in high school, didn't
I
it?
think it was 2006.
I just remember if it was 2006, they'd been in college. Either way, there was a guy I worked with who was obsessed with it.
Oh, yeah,
And he
a
was
lot of
like, oh, it's the best game ever. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's the future kind of thing. And this one guy who's a bit older than us, but now works in games dev, literally turned around to her and went, mate, it's just fucking Habbo Hotel for nerds. And he went ballistic. It was like, he was
just throwing stuff off the
he
shelf.
was like in the middle of a warehouse.
Past the
In the middle of a warehouse at a Summerfield, just like,
Having a massive attack.
and you just watched his worldview
just
crumbling, and you're like, oh, that was sublime, because he was just like, it's just fucking Habbo Hotel, innit? No. It's like-
No, Azeroth isn't my favourite one. I'd probably say Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Redemption was really fucking good. Like, the way that, like I can remember there was, like, times when you're just going through the desert and you'll see, like, a gunfight happening and you can choose to, like, either watch it or get involved. Or there was one, actually, that was really fucking good. It was like I don't know, am I making this
So that
up?
one was with the guys about to get lynched or hung or something.
And maybe I'm confusing it with something else, but yeah, must be. I was going to say there was a bit, and I'm pretty sure, I'm probably wrong, but there was a guy like just digging in the desert, and it was like, it was really unclear as to what he was doing, and I was always like,
Oh, there's a
kind
weird...
of fucking, not the grave robber guy.
No, there's the weird side quest where it's the guy with the top hat.
He's the grave robber guy, isn't he?
No, there's another guy who's like a weird kind of dude on his own,
Yeah.
and you talk to him, and he tells you to go and get something, but the implication is really strong that he's Satan. Because you turn around to leave, and you turn back around, he's not there, and the ground's all scorched.
Yeah, it could be that, you know.
Because it's like, that kind of thing was really fucking cool, because you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, and it's like, I love it when games do that. Like, if there is any way to get me to fucking love a game, it is to have supernatural elements in places where there shouldn't be supernatural elements. I love it. But, like, that, like, I remember, like, just going through the desert and just thinking, like, this is so fucking weird. Like, what is going on here? I didn't go up and speak to him. I was just kind of riding past, and it was like, I just liked the image, like, that image of a guy just like digging out the desert, but not really sure what he's doing. Like I thought he was going to top himself, and he was digging his own grave, kind of thing. Yeah. But it was like, I loved that, and I loved like,
I just loved it when you rode along. There was just a gunfight, and you just. My thing with those used to be turn along and just shoot one guy and keep going. But online, that was the best thing. I played Red Dead Redemption online, and if anyone else played it, you know what
was a
an
clusterfuck.
annoyance and a clusterfuck it was when there was a group of people and you were the one guy on your own.
Yeah.
And there was about 4 or 5 guys riding around as a posse, and they just kept killing everyone. And they kept killing me. And they killed me, and I respawned somewhere where I could get away from them. And we were all sat round at my house, and we were on the voice chat, and I basically got on my horse, got my repeating rifle, built up the Deadeye gauge, and I went to find these motherfuckers. And they'd all parked up, and they got out, and they'd literally killed someone, and they were all just stood, stabbing him and laughing on party chat. And
It's the most fucking sadistic
yeah,
thing.
it was the weirdest thing ever. And then I came tearing round the corner
You're on a horse and
on a
cart.
horse and cart. And Deadeye started shooting him, and all you heard was this one guy just go, "Oh shit!" And it was just so fucking out of the blue and emergent gameplay, and so funny because we were pretty drunk when it happened. If I
Oh, it was
remember
amazing.
right. But we were just falling around laughing at these guys getting shot, and then me running off, and the one guy that was left alive trying to chase me, and it was like, because it wasn't that I turned up on a horse and cart; it was I'd stolen the horse and cart.
Oh yeah, you stole their horse and cart.
Because I ran up, got on it, shot a lot of them, pimped off. Stranded them in the middle of the desert, pricks.
Yeah, it was great. It was, and yeah, it was just really, really.
Not enough
good.
open world games have a co-op element. That's my
You're
issue.
right. You're right.
I think that's going to be the next thing, is like kind of a drop in, drop out.
Well, Grand Theft Auto 5 online is incredible.
Yeah,
Apparently,
but
it's
it's
still
like-
going.
Let me go to a tavern and have just an NPC or someone in that tavern who's like a messenger who can let me get in touch with like one of my friends in another game, and it drops us into the same game. Maybe don't let us touch the story, but let us just kind of wander around and have like a couple of
Not like Monster Hunter.
yeah, and have like some, well, not like Monster Hunter's way of
That's
matchmaking.
really
That's
fucking
it.
bad.
Great game. Its online's a fucking mess. But like, let me have like some co-op dungeons or something that's like a cooperative element. So or like go, oh, you've gone through this dungeon. Here's a higher level version of it.
That's what
Two of
we
you could
wanted.
do.
That's what I wanted with Final Fantasy 11. See how I've put it back to
You
JRPGs.
fucking weeb.
I couldn't fucking
I've
get
been
it.
spending ages trying not to scratch that itch, and you come wheeling in with
like-
Final Fantasy and your Zeldas.
I can remember.
Shame.
I can fucking remember getting a magazine article, like an official PlayStation magazine, when they unveiled Final Fantasy 11. And it was going to be an MMO on consoles and all this gumph. And
God.
well, like I just loved the idea of being able to get on a chocobo, hang around with my mates, and go fucking fight. But I can remember us all saying, "How's that going to work with turn-based combat? This isn't going to be any good." So how's it going to be an MMO but have turn-based combat? Because that's what we thought all Final Fantasy games were, was just turn-based
We're
combat.
idiots.
Yeah, we're idiot kids.
Fucking morons.
So that's that.
Right, go on then. You can go first on the worst open
Oh,
world.
fucking hell. There's a lot of bad ones.
Yeah, but you got to pick one. Like, which open world did you? How do we define this? Is it just the open world that was shittest, or the open world that you gelled less with, or the one you bounced off of as a game quickest?
I'd probably say we could do both, like the ones that you think is just diabolically bad, because I think I know what yours is.
You think I'm going to say Two Worlds, don't you?
I do.
Thing is, right? The open
Alright.
world in Two Worlds, the open world itself, wasn't that bad. the game itself, dog shit. But the open world, like the actual world it gave you to run around in, was actually quite cool.
Not that
It
bad.
was quite funny. It was a bit Morrowindy and a bit Oblivion-y, and at the
Yeah.
time that was kind of like what you thought
What
an
you
open
kind of
world had to
wanted
be.
it. What you kind of wanted it to be as well, I imagine.
really don't like the world in Fallout 4,
Mm.
but I really, really, really don't like the world in Brutal Legend.
Really?
I don't think
deep cut.
I don't think it should have ever been an open world game, but I also don't think it should have ever been a strategy game.
Mm.
I think it was them trying to mesh too much stuff together, and
Yeah.
the open world just seemed like the easiest way for them to facilitate a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I think if they spent, I always thought that game would have played a lot better as something a bit more like God of War. So it's
Yeah.
a bit more linear, but with like that sense of humour, you could really amp up that kind of, instead of it being, oh look, I've got all these metal tracks as the songs on my radio. theme each level after one. Do a level based on like Cowboys from Hell and have actual Cowboys from Hell. That kind of stuff. Like, it'd be much cheesier. But it's a game about fucking heavy metal. Make it cheesier.
Yeah.
Granted, Tim Curry's in that game, and
Yeah.
the voice acting and the story in it are quite good.
Yeah, they are. And
But-
that's kind of like the main draw for Brutal Legend. Like, I've never finished it. I think I've got it on PC.
I've got it on my PC somewhere.
I like what I played, but yeah, it seemed a bit kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favourite open world. Well,
You've done your favourite one. You've done your favourite one. And you
Shit, I
listed-
should have said Camarocho.
Shit! No! We're trying to avoid being weebs! Even though you're right! Shit! Right, we're going to do a special on the Yakuza game.
That'll be the next episode.
No, we already did the crime one, we've done that.
Yeah.
Right. What boils your piss about these games that we forgot about Yakuza? That's
I
it.
think we've already mentioned it with me. It's the fucking silly towers that you have to climb to unlock a
Arbitrary,
bit of the map.
generic shit that they keep putting in these games bugs me.
The fact that like they
Just
have
admit-
these unbelievable collection quests where it's find like 1 billion of this one thing, and it's like I'm not going to waste my time doing that. Like, I don't even see why anyone would do it a lot of the time because you can finish the game without it. Like Assassin's Creed 2 does it
With the feathers.
fucking feathers. Worst part of it.
Tries to tie it to your brother's memory. I was like, fuck him.
However, in Assassin's Creed 2, they had that amazing thing where you were finding glitches in the what's it called, and you were unlocking bits of that memory where it kind of alluded to the fact that you were kind of a descendant of Adam and Eve. Well, of course, you're a descendant of Adam and Eve.
Yeah, but like it was all about like how people got out of that garden.
Yeah, like
But it's
that
like-
was really fun. Have they done more with that in Assassin's Creed? Because I've not played it.
In Syndicate,
Yeah,
there's weird glitches where it pings you to different bits of London. So there's a point where you're climbing up the outside of, I think it's Big Ben in an air raid.
yeah.
Or no, it's Unity does it where you're climbing up the Eiffel Tower
During an hour.
during an air raid.
That's pretty cool.
But you're like, what the hell is this thing? Where's it from? What's going on? And you like climbing up it, and then in the most recent one,
Also, that's how an assassin does. How assassin does. What is that thing? I don't know. I'm gonna fucking climb it though.
but I yeah, but in the newest one, you get these tombs. So you've got like, because it's Egypt, you've
Yeah.
got tombs, but there's usually a tomb underneath it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that's where the precursor people are, and you can put silica into these things and learn stuff, and they'll tell you about bits of like prophecies from previous games and filling gaps and things.
So do they do any of the stuff with like the Adam and Eve, like escaping the Garden of Eden thing? Because that's a really cool story.
They talk about bits of it, but the thing that really annoyed me was that Egypt set so close to the split between the two. Let me go to the ruins of it. Let part of the game have been finding it. That would have been fucking cool.
Yeah, that would have been really cool.
But yeah, in terms of what boils my piss about open world games, you know, like we've been talking about, it seems to be the same, like the arbitrary, like, collections, this vantage points and radio towers. I fucking hate that, because it just means that every game has to have hills in it, which means you can never have a game set in Hull or Holland. And it's like, think about it, if you've got an environment that's like largely fucking flat, it's pointless.
Well, yeah.
Or you've
Well, that's what they had with Assassin's Creed 3. Was that it was like when you were in a town, there was nothing to climb. So you were kind of like walking across houses, and it made it really fucking difficult to be stealthy because there was nothing to really get the drop on.
that's
anyone.
why that's the thing with Origins. They've made it so there's not really like a fail state on a mission anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of, oh, go kill this guy, but you've got so many options on how to do it.
That's really cool.
So because it's so much more open, there's lots of like reed beds and rivers, and you can get in buildings and on top of stuff and hide places and like bait stuff out. Or my favourite kill I got on that game was I sabotaged the signal fires they used to get in like reinforcements, and then I let the guy I needed to kill see me, and then I watched him run up to the signal fire, and when he went to light it, it blew up and killed him.
Good.
And I was like, that's what you get, motherfucker. But, like, the other thing is, I think that's where the Assassin's Creed games have, because they've started introducing more like, oh, it's set in Paris. Oh, it's set in London. It's set in Egypt. They've started introducing like more like famous locations.
Yeah.
And they kind of get around that vantage point and radio tower thing by you going, I'm on top of insert landmark. And it's like, that's the way they get around it now.
I know.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but they should feel like more of a challenge to get. There should be fewer of them, and they should feel like more of an event and a puzzle to get up.
Yeah. Like, it's like that's one of the things like Shadow of the Colossus. I mean, that is an open world game, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it's like, and again, it's a really good example of what I like in an open world game where the mechanics make it kind of shit. Sorry, the mechanics make it kind of really fun to do what it is you're meant to be doing in it. But then again, like the world's quite boring to explore.
It's all kind of it's meant to be kind of bleak and forlorn, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but no, like I think my worst thing about open world games is that a lot of them just tend to be fucking lands of missed opportunities. It's like entire fucking spaces that are filled with nothing. And it's like, yeah, it's nice that you've got this vegetation looking as nice as you do, but it's not really
Put
fun.
an ecosystem around it. Make it so, like, if I'm going in a big, ominous-looking forest, put someone or something in it that makes it ominous.
Yeah, you're
like the
saying...
fucking Witcher. You
Well,
go in a
you're
forest
saying-
on that, you're like, oh, shit.
You're saying don't be a weeb, but Xenoblade Chronicle X, excellent example of it. Each biome feels like its own little ecosystem.
Xenoblade 2 does it as well.
It makes it really fun to go and wander around because it's like you don't know what you're going to fight when you go in there. And it's like, yeah, caves are a bit shit in it and that kind of thing, but it's like it makes that world so much more interesting, so much more memorable.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I think World of Warcraft was very good at it as well, had really memorable kind of areas because everywhere was so different. And it kind of felt like you were going to different places rather than fucking...
Well, that's what makes a good setting, though, is that thing where it's like it can be drastically different from one side of it to the other. It feels like something's linking it all together.
Yeah.
But there is always something in any particular area that could hold your interest.
Yeah.
Like Breath of the Wild does it really well in the sense that there's not a lot going on in that world.
Yeah, it's very empty, but
the sheer amount of fan service and Easter eggs and bits of environmental storytelling and just looking around seeing how like a civilization collapsed and stuff.
Yeah,
it's
that's
just,
the interesting part of that game.
It's fantastic. Like there's a whole area of that map where you've got the big statue of the princess and there's the big buried sword and stuff like that. Fuck all explains what that is, but you spend ages wandering around it, wondering what's there.
Yeah.
Even though there's nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like
I can't remember the last time I did that in a open world
where
game.
I just went for a wander.
Yeah.
I can. We both went to the pub once on Oblivion.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah.
That was a weird day where we were just both sat on like a Skype chat thing and just going, I'm in the pub. So am I.
Not a real pub mind, but...
Fucking Wood Elf eyeballs me funny again with a lamp in.
I just used to like start... that was fun in Oblivion, starting bar fights, having that spell that you could just knock everything out.
100-foot fireball, 1 point of damage, fire it in the door of a shop and run like fuck.
But that's what open world games are about. They're about, or they should be about, these really... where you can go from being absolutely ridiculous to being, like... the most powerful motherfucker on the game, but it's like...
Well, that's one of the things on there's a speed run of Skyrim, and there's a guy going through it, and the only things he picks up from the starting area are a basket and a knife.
Sounds like MacGyver.
Yeah, but the only reason he's got the basket is for one specific quest where you need to nick something off somebody.
Yeah.
And they're sat at a table. So you get the basket out, you hold it, turn it over, you put it on the fucking head. They can't see, so you get the thing and just piss off. And you're like, that's amazing. It was on like Call of Duty, the highlight reel thing.
Yeah.
It was on that, and I was just sat there, pissing myself, laughing at this guy. Was like, basket on his head? steal all his shit.
Off I go.
Off I go.
I used to like putting, not in Oblivion, in Fallout, I used to like putting grenades in people's pockets. Like, that was always fun. But it was a lot less fun in Fallout than it was in Oblivion to do any of, like, the going around having a fight in a town kind of thing.
Because there was the morality scale to it. They had that.
Yeah, that's true.
They had that sliding morality system in it where you could be good or evil, and it would influence the ending you got. And I was like, nah, Liam Neeson is going to be proud of me. So nobody is getting robbed, nobody is getting shot. I got to the end of that game, penniless and weak. Went through it a second time with my character that on every Bethesda game, I have an evil character called Anton Dutwat, and he just goes around being a shitbag.
Yeah.
And it's always so much more fun.
Well, it's kind of like
doing an all fisticuffs run of Skyrim was hilarious. Took ages.
I bet it did.
Just like, I'm going to do the entire main quest just punching stuff. Like getting in fights with frostbite spiders, like not looking at the screen, just hammering punches like.
I can't think of anything fucking worse than doing that in Oblivion, is just spending more time than I had to with that game.
Well, not Oblivion, Skyrim.
That's what I mean, Skyrim, not Oblivion. Oblivion was a joy from start to finish, other than when Oblivion Gates just opened up about 5 times when you're walking from one place to another. And it was like,
oh, Oblivion Gate. I don't want to fight more fucking scamps. Until the difficulty ramped up, when you're like higher levels and you're like, the fuck is that?
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Yeah.
The first time you see a spider Daedra and you're like,
oh,
mate.
shit.
Right, what is the next question? Oh, we're on to the listener questions now. We've got 2, technically 3, from the same person who always writes in. This is actually going to be a new section called Questions from Rick.
Yeah, we'll just call Questions from Rick.
Right. Which closed world game do you think lends itself well to an open world game, and which open world game would work better being closed off?
Well,
I've half answered that with my bit about Brutal Legend.
Yeah, I agree with your Brutal Legend one. Like, that would have. I think there are a few. I think.
I think
Brutal Legend is a really good example of
other open world games that would work better as being more contained.
2 hours later.
I don't know.
No, I think there is definitely some. I think if you're looking at open world games,
Fallout 4 could definitely do with a smaller map, so it doesn't fit. Same amount of stuff, just in a smaller smaller surface area.
I think if you're talking about an open world game that should be kind of not, that shouldn't be open world, and should just have levels and stuff. That's really
Assassin's
difficult.
Creed 2. There was all those. It was like you gave you those massive towns that worked as great big hub levels.
Yeah,
But you had those little bits of riding between each one.
yeah, that were just
They were
fucking pointless.
pointless.
Really pointless.
Didn't need them bits. You
Do you
could have
remember in
said it.
Brotherhood when you got in Da Vinci's tank?
Yeah, shit.
Shite. Actually, I know. Arkham City. I didn't like the city in Arkham City. I
Yeah, the
think
second they took Batman out of somewhere that was quite contained, like the asylum and its grounds, it got a lot worse. And
it wasn't a bad game. I don't think it was a bad game. I just don't think it needed to be open world. It was more of a hassle getting from one place to another than it needed to be, I think.
yeah, and
They
then
tried to remedy that in Arkham Knight, but that was...
they remedied it too hard though, because it became a game that was all about the Batmobile as opposed to anything else, and it was a good game, but it's just not as good as. Neither of the 2 games that followed it were as good as Asylum.
No. Asylum was great because it knew there was a Metroidvania at its core,
Yeah.
and it was really good at that.
I'd
did it really
love
well.
them to do. I'd love them to do an open world game based on as a DC character. I'd love them to do one based on the Green Arrow, just because bows in open world games are always a thing.
Yeah,
And that's the only reason I'd do it. Just
so it can have a bow.
plus, imagine being able to knock someone out from miles away with a boxing glove arrow.
And now, if we're talking about
closed world games, which would have worked better being open.
ooh.
So, what sort of setting?
Now, how are we doing this? Because I can think of a load of worlds that I would love to just go and explore.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it. Is almost like which game setting that's very linear and contained would you like to go and explore properly? What's the top bit of Final Fantasy 13 called?
Grandpa.
Grand
Pulse was, Cocoon was the fun kind of town that you really wanted to go and look around, but you fucking couldn't because it was just a corridor. And Grand Pulse was essentially a really wide corridor that made no sense.
Yeah. No, a game that you'd love to have been able to explore the world more of. Just because I'm an unapologetic fucking fanboy, I would love them to have done that with something like Gallowmere from Medieval. Just think about it.
It's a really good idea.
Because you've got one entire third of that kingdom, according to that map, is a graveyard. And then it's got a graveyard, a farm, a pumpkin patch, and a town. Right? And then the rest of the map's just mad shit, like a time machine, and an evil fortress, and a ghost ship. And you're like,
that's really fun.
Why do people live here? It's like...
That's really fun. No, I like that.
I like the idea of just being able to, you could have done it, and you could have done it in kind of a big open world, and they could have had the story be the same, but you could now, on a modern setting, do people who haven't had their souls stolen, do people who were in holy sites and stuff that kind of hold up as survivors. But you could have so many really tongue-in-cheek nods to George Romero films and stuff because of all the zombies walking around.
Yeah, I also I love the look of the Medieval games. I think that kind of Saturday morning cartoon kind of look that you could get now.
It's a cross between your Saturday morning cartoons and Nightmare Before Christmas kind of art style.
I love that. I think you could do a really cool world in that style. That would be amazing. I mean, now that I think about it, a world really kind of expanded that I'd really like to see. Fucking Final Fantasy 9. No, it's kind of open world. Well, it's not really. When you get the ship, it is, but
I don't know. What about? It's almost like you could look at something as a franchise. You could look at the Castlevania games and go, yeah, you've got the castle,
really cool. But
they always go, oh, Dracula's fucking everything up. Is he? He just seems to be in his house, wanting to be left alone 90% of the time.
In Lords of Shadow, you kind of go through you kind of have that thing that you had in the old Castlevania games where it was it was a lot more linear. Where it was
you're on this level.
The first level is you getting towards the castle, the next level is the castle gates, and then you've got the grounds around the castle, and then you're in the castle, and then you fight vampire and stuff, and that was pretty cool. Castlevania would be a good one. Fucking hell, it's really difficult. Really difficult. Mario Kart, just have a look at all around the tracks.
Surely a lot of the Mario games class is open world though now.
I'm joking.
I know, but I'm just don't be facetious.
Take it seriously, damn it.
Serious fucking business here. I've got designs on an open world medieval game.
LA Noire would have been a good one that shouldn't have been open world.
That shouldn't have been open world at all.
No.
That shouldn't have existed.
Because you shot the same guy 10 times going from place to place. There's been a robbery. Is it that same guy? Yeah. He really should have learned.
Bulletproof, any this dickhead.
He should have fucking learned. I'll go teach him again. Let's see.
I'm trying to think of other games that would be nicer, kind of.
A Star Wars one would be really fucking good.
A really nice, instead of it being a bit kind of the old BioWare ones where it was kind of you're in this town, and this little sub area, or you're in this bit, or you're in this bit, and they're kind of very corridory and just a big level, more he is he's
Coruscant or something.
Or do it where you've got here is a system and there's different locations. You've discovered X location.
Yeah.
Different parts of systems and different bits of planets. And
I guess it just kind of turns into Mass Effect then, really. But it's
but it's Star Wars, so it's already better.
Yeah, true.
That's the point. It would already be better.
It's really weird. Thinking of like, it's an odd question because I think for the most part, a lot of these games are really well, like, they're kind of designed to the point where I don't think they'd work any other way.
Yeah, well, a lot of them don't work when they first come out anyway. Open world games are notorious for being buggy because they're so big.
Well, they're so big and they've just got this weird kind of, like, it's just the way the industry is at the minute, really, isn't it?
The bug hunt when a big open world game always comes out is so much fun, though, because it leads to so much funny stuff. Like,
you see the Shadow of the Colossus one that I retweeted?
Yes.
The guy just, like, fucking fires off the back of the first Colossus. That was amazing.
Or the guy who, is it the 13th Colossus, managed to get Argo on top of it? And then he's got this amazing photo mode picture of the Colossus falling, and there's just this little dot falling off it, which is the horse. And he's like, I hope he's okay. But it's like...
I think that's one thing I do like about open world games, the glitches. There's so many good ones.
The glitches are so much fun sometimes. It's like... sometimes they're really bad and they're annoying, but they're always really funny to see. Like, I'm really looking forward to seeing, because you know there's going to be shitloads in that Kingdom Come Deliverance that's coming out. You know, the ones that's being touted as like a realistic open world
like medieval
game.
Life sim kind of thing.
I tried watching some people streaming that at the weekend, and I watched a guy struggle with the lockpicking minigame for 20 minutes.
Can you die of dysentery in it as well?
Apparently, you can get like food poisoning and get ill and stuff.
What the fuck is the point? Like, it's a game. Do you want to live in that time? Because I guarantee the people who wanted to live in that time did not want to live in that time.
Everything I've read about it makes me think it's one of those overly ambitious early access wanker games. That's the only thing I can think about. Is like, look, it's a big. We've got realistic blocking and sword combat. It's like, great. Anyone who doesn't do LARPing doesn't give a shit. It's like, there's a guy there's going to be some prick sat there day one in fucking chainmail playing this, and you know they're going to be doing it. It's like that dickhead that used to walk around college that people stuck magnets to.
The thing is, though, right, it's like, I appreciate that we can do that. I appreciate that we can, if we want, make a life sim that's in medieval times, but
why?
It certainly isn't for me.
In terms of medieval times, we're old.
We'd be dead. I definitely would be dead. I could not survive in those times.
No, we'd both be dead. Or blind. Or worse.
Oh, we couldn't fucking see. We didn't have glasses.
We couldn't see.
We'd be on the chopping block.
We wouldn't be able to see. We'd be fucked.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to see.
We'd be trying to treat anything wrong with E-Rovers with leeches.
We wouldn't be able to see.
Leeches.
We wouldn't be able to see. We'd be called witches. We'd burn to death. That's how it
Arse
goes.
leeches. That's what you'd have had to deal with.
Exactly.
I'd have had to deal with...
I'm not playing Kingdom Come Deliverance.
I'd have had to deal with people force-feeding me spiders and mercury to deal with art complaints. I'd have died syphilitic and insane, not from my own choices. That would have been the problem.
Oh, no, it's...
Medieval times must have been shit.
Yeah, I bet they fucking were.
Imagine how crap life would have been without, like, Pokemon. and
all things.
No, like, just like things that when you were a kid, you're like, God, that was a joyful part of my childhood. Doesn't exist. Do you know what your childhood was? Do you know what the best bit?
Trying to not get beaten up by your dad.
Do you know what the best bit about childhood in medieval times was?
What?
Getting to be an 8 and classed as an adult.
Having time off from work. It's fucking... Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Getting to occasionally get front row for an execution. Ooh, I got splattered. It's like, now what have we got? Open world games and Drag Race. I know what I'd rather have.
Yeah, I'm not going to play Deliverance.
No, neither am I.
No.
It's one of those ones where I've kind of sat and gone, that is one of those ones where it's like, deal of the week, $9.99, and you're like...
It's weird. It's like when you look into like the making of it, it's amazing that the guy's been able to do it. Like,
that team building that has been insane.
yeah, it's unbelievable.
It was a small team, but it
I thought
grew,
it was
didn't
only
it?
one guy at one point making it.
Is it Bohemia Interactive? So it's the people who made like Armour.
I can't remember. I'm sure it started off as just one guy making it. Maybe I'm thinking of something else, but No, it's amazing that like the level of detail that they've kind of got into it. But it's the kind of thing that a lot of old school PC RPGs had, where it's just kind of intimidating, and it's going to be more of like a. I'm going to have to put more effort into getting used to playing that game than I'm prepared to give. So I'm probably not going to play it. But isn't that weird for a video game?
It's the first game produced by a studio that got set up in 2011.
Yeah, it's been alright.
It's made. He's a former one of the people. Is a former producer from Codemasters and Bohemia Interactive.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, there's a load of controversy around it, but we're not gonna talk about that. But
I don't even know what you're on about. So
I'll tell you how I don't really want to talk about it, but
Neither do I.
not on here anyway.
Yeah,
But no, it's a weird one. It's like there's that subset of kind of PC open world-ish games that like
are more survivally.
Yeah, and I could not be fucked
Is it
with them.
Subnautica that people are getting really?
Oh no, that's
up
just
to
because of one of the people who worked on it, sound engineer.
No, I don't mean like the controversy. I mean like that seems to be like the popular kind of early accessy. Oh, let's all play this.
It could be. I mean,
one at the minute, but
like,
that's
even with-
kind of an open world game with a finite end and a plot to it, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I don't think I could play it, but it's like, in a way, I mean, like these battle royale things that are coming out now, they're kind of an offshoot of it.
Yeah, they're open world, but they're kind of they're open world in a different way. I just wish someone would have the balls to just do a battle royale one.
What, kids? That'd be fucked up, wouldn't it?
No, I mean like just everyone's given a random weapon at the start. It's not a bum rush to go and find a gun in a building.
I like that idea though. I mean, I think I like the idea of playing PUBG, but I don't think I could actually play PUBG.
I think they should give people more weapon options. I like the idea of everybody landing and being like, oh shit, I've only got the clothes on my back. What do I do? I would go and find a rock, I would hide, and then I would go in my inventory, take a sock off, combine it with the rock, and go around with my sock mace. Fuck people up till I get a gun.
I was going to say, could I get Gritty as fucking just stove people's heads in, knock them down, and just like proper
go at them with a rock
and just like.
I don't know if that came across on the recording, but Al had that kind of maniacal look in his eyes that would imply that he's thought about killing people with a rock before.
I'm not going to talk about it on record. Right. And what was the last question?
Our last question is our off-topic question. Which is best controller.
GameCube. Hands down, my favourite controller is the GameCube controller. I'm
more used to the DualShock because it's the PlayStation pad, and I've had since the PS1 of them. But I will admit, the GameCube controller is bloody lovely.
Oh, it's simultaneously
the ugliest
and the best thing to use. It's lovely. Like, I like the big squashy shoulder buttons and the big A button. Like, I love that. But
do you know what the weird thing is though?
What?
The Joy-Cons are quite nice.
Yeah, the Joy-Cons are lovely.
The Joy-Cons are right. It depends. If you got it in handheld mode, best controller is the Switch. If you've got it just in like the little fucking bracket that you get with it, it's one of the worst small controllers ever.
It's very weird. It's
like that bracket needs redesigning, so
it just needs to be wider.
A little bit wider and maybe angled slightly so you can hold it like a traditional control pad. Because it feels like holding a tiny NES pad with horns on the back of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know about anyone else, this could just be an old man complaint, but sometimes when playing on the Switch, depending on where I am, how I'm led, how I'm sat, what I'm playing, makes my hands really fucking hurt.
That is definitely an old man complaint.
It's like, I was playing it, I was
got
like,
arthritis from playing video games.
No, it's because I've got big hands.
It's a weird one. Like, I think I really like DualShock 2 and 3 and
I like the DualShock 4.
I like the DualShock 4. DualShock 4 is nice, but I don't know, actually. Like, there's a lot of good ones. Like, I used to really like the 360 controller. I used to actually want to mod a PS3 controller to put the innards in a DualShock controller. Like, I had a few tutorials where you could do it.
Yeah, I saw a few, but it's like, I really like the 360 pad.
But the fucking D-pad is shite on 360. Yeah. You cannot play. I mean, if you got one of those flicky thing where you can spin
like
around.
the Pro controller now, you can turn it into just regular buttons, or
yeah.
Or
No,
they had
like-
that, they had that
Yeah,
little
they had that one where you like span
wheel on it, didn't
and
they?
it kind of locked it in because it was all very floaty and you couldn't do quarter turns on it properly. I remember people saying when Street Fighter came
Yeah,
out.
but when it came out on the 360, you could also buy a functionable arcade stick for not a lot of money. So
Yeah, I mean, I bought an arcade stick for
So did
Street
I.
Fighter. That's the one. Arcade sticks, I think they're really good. I think they can...
a good arcade stick. Not like, because you get some that are really flimsy and really light. You want one that feels like when you put it on your knee, it ain't gonna move.
I had a heavy as fuck one. I didn't have like the proper expensive Street Fighter one. I had a Street Fighter 4 one. I had the one below it that was kind of like a bit more compact.
Yeah.
It's meant to sit on a desk. That was a really cool
Have you
little...
seen some of the? Have you seen the one that's got? It was like a mod that some guy turned up at. Sure, it was something I was reading about Evo one year.
Mm.
And it was a guy. He turned up with his controller, but his way of sitting stable with it was he had like those like athletics bands, the stretchy ones.
Yeah.
He'd basically put a little loop on the bottom of the metal case on it and tied a bit of that to it and got it to the right length that he hooked his foot through the loop on it
And he like...
and tucked it between his legs and put his foot down, and it
like,
the tension in it clamped it to the tops of his knees.
That's pretty cool. Do you remember when we were in Japan and there was that guy playing Street Fighter, but he was playing in a very weird way.
Oh, he was holding
he
the
was holding the
stick,
stick reverse, so he had his hand under it like he was cupping someone's balls.
He was literally just cupping a ball.
Yeah, he was literally cupping a single bollock, and it was.
But he
was
point
a
out,
beast.
He kicked the fuck out of the pair of us consistently.
Oh,
for a
yeah.
while. He was the guy that him and his mate we got to storm out the arcade.
No, that wasn't him. That was because he was in Akihabara. The other guy.
Oh, this
that
was the guy in Shinjuku, yeah.
The other guy, this guy, the ball cupper, he was in Akihabara, and he was playing exclusively as Geef. And he
when we got
taking
geefed.
names.
Yeah, I remember this.
There was a load of guys came in, and he was just sat there, just one.
Well, we
after
just
the other,
watched him, didn't we? We just stood there going, "Should we be playing as Geef?" And he was like, "We both tried." And we're like, "Nope,
Nah, I cannot play
can't do Geef." We were just exclusively Ryu and Ken the entire time.
It's just I know, right?
Oh,
I think every now and then I tried Makami, but it was like
It was just
nah,
I think
I'm
it was
too,
just
I'm
like
too squishy, too
just I think it
squishy.
was just like we are. The term now would be basic.
Oh,
we were there
I'm
just like going.
unbelievably basic at fighting games, but I do like them. I've got a
I wanna-
special spot for.
I want to give Fighter Z a go properly.
I'd love to play that game. I mean, it's unfortunate that Bayonetta's out this week because I'm buying that, but like,
I'll be back in a bit.
I'll be playing Bayonetta. But Fighter Z, I mean, it's actually at Evo this time, so we're going to get some Fighter Z.
There's going to be some nuts shit going.
I'm
for
going
that.
to be watching that. I'm more interested in that than I am Street Fighter 5 because Street Fighter 5 has gotten so stale recently. It's just, I mean,
Oh, but they're bringing Blanca in.
yeah,
Blanca's
but
gonna win.
Blanca's like he's good. Blanca play is. It's not as technical as you might like.
Down and hammer Y, hope for the best. That was my Blanca strategy. Was always jump and get out. It's like and jump and get down. It was like occasionally if someone comes near me, do the rolly ball move.
I could never do that because it's a charge move. So that's
I
how
was doing
bad
it by
I am.
accident.
That's how bad I am at fighting games. I cannot do charge moves. I'm so bad at them. I just can't.
I think they'd. This is the thing. I
like
think,
them, but I'm shit at them.
See, I think that they're gonna. I wish something like Absolver had really taken off more, because I thought that was such a cool idea for a fighting game,
Yeah.
where it was that kind of open world, everyone getting to strut around and do their own thing and build a fighting style. But then it just got your atypical number crunching. This is the optimum build kind of thing, and it was like.
The game within the game. Kind
Yeah,
of
and
thing.
it was like,
Yeah.
oh, go find a guy, learn as much of the drunken fighting style as you can. Just use that. Use that with the crazy block technique, and just be like, right, look, now I'm a weird spinning ball of death you can't do anything to, and you're like, fuck's sake.
I'm going to wheel this back round to open world games. Street Fighter.
Oh, that'd be so good.
An open world Street Fighter. That's just Yakuza. It's just Yakuza.
Just Yakuza.
Yeah. Fucking with
Or,
this
in
one.
a couple of weeks, Monster Hunter, because you're going to be able to get all Ryu's gear and plays Ryu.
Punch a dragon right in the fucking head.
Well, have you seen what they've done? You know, the Horizon stuff?
Oh, yeah.
And the first thing to get the armour for your Palico was do this little arena mission. He was like, oh, it's an arena mission.
Yeah.
The next one is you have to get to Hunter rank 11, and then you have to fight a giant Anjanath.
Yeah, he's bigger than a regular.
Yeah, it's called The Proving. I'm like,
What rank are you at the minute?
8 and 9.
I think I'm only like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I'm really not far.
We need to get you to catch up to where I am, and then we can actually do the rest of the game. Because
It's good though.
it is very good. It's a really nice open world game because it kind of
It's got that kind
it
of
strips
Destiny
back
thing.
a lot of the open world stuff as well.
But it's got that kind of Destiny thing where it's like you got your hub and you've got the worlds to like the little areas to roam about in, which are kind of like your little open world bits. But it's not necessarily, you're not going to be listening to dialogue, you're not going to be listening to plot. It's more of a game to just kind of chat with people with and have on. Like,
So it's a really good game for if you're watching it and it's someone like a good streamer. It's a good game for them to have on
yeah.
because it's quite a nice game to watch when it's streaming. But some of the streams I've seen of it have been like properly dire. Like it's just some guy talking about memes as opposed to just like doing stuff. But I've seen like people trying to work out the best strats for like speedrunning certain monsters and stuff.
Yeah, like, but that's the great thing about it. There's so many like kind of hidden little mechanics in there that like if you really want to learn how to take monsters down, there are definite ways of doing it. And it's like rather than just kind of hit it until it goes down, it's like there's strategies for each one.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Like the fastest I've killed something so far is a 2-minute 50 Great Jagras hunt. But that's only because of the gear I had. And
Yeah.
I knew what I was doing. But that's probably not even remotely quick in comparison to what other people are doing, because that's with middling gear. If
And the thing is,
imagine
like,
highly tier gear, people just go in and like ding, right, it's dead.
Well, Great Jagras is like the first
It's
monster
the
you
baby
fight.
monster, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's
like
the first one you fight. I've killed definitely killed more than 10. And I've not really been playing it all that much. So
you want to do the newest challenge that's on it. Kill 2 elder dragons that are big lightning unicorns.
yeah,
Yeah, but the problem is, on my fight that I was doing, the second one fucking turned up whilst I was fighting the first one.
do they fight each other? Or do
No,
team
they
up?
just come after you.
Oh.
And it got very soulsy very quick. It was like, oh shit.
Oh.
It's such a nice game.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Right.
Overwatch. I'd like an Overwatch open world game where you kind of wander around the nice places and meet all the nice characters and
And do all the nice things.
do all the nice things. Have a nice Overwatch open world game. Sorry, that came out of nowhere.
I actually think Overwatch is a really good setting that they could explore more.
Yeah.
I don't think it necessarily even needs to be a shooter. I think you could do so much with that as a setting. I love the idea of, you know, like Rainbow Six Siege, where it's kind of like the squad-based tactical thing. Talon versus Overwatch on that as like a squad-based objective thing. Even if it was just like a mode for an event,
That would be pretty cool.
that'd be really fun, wouldn't it? Like how your skills all play together to get through a level.
That'd be really cool. Yeah, I like that.
I imagine a breach and clear where it's like Reinhardt through the door and then just Tracer just whips in from above and then just behind Reinhardt are just like every now and then you just get like someone just pop his head like rockets.
Yeah.
Right, so we need to decide what are we going to talk about on the next one after this. We've done open world, we've done crime, we've done JRPGs.
That was such a good episode. I don't think we'll ever top that episode.
What do we need? We've done horror.
Oh yeah, we have. Two things I like the best: horror and JRPGs.
I think.
Should we just quit?
No, we can't just quit.
Joking. Yakuza. No.
Well,
Dragon Quest.
we've done a big deep dive into Persona. We've done a big deep dive into.
We
Zelda.
didn't really do a deep dive into Persona.
We
kind of
just sat
talked
there
for about 45
we
minutes.
sat there and
about
tickled Persona's balls for an hour. That's what we did.
Yeah.
No, what do we want to look at next? Cinematic games.
That's a good idea. There's a lot we could do with that.
Yeah, there is, but it's probably also going to turn into an hour of us just going, you know what can fuck off?
David
The Last
Cage.
of Us. So can David Cage.
David Cage can get to fuck.
Yeah, right, there we go. That's what the next episode is going to be called. David Cage can get to fuck.
But yeah,
That's March's episode for you to look all forward to.
yeah, there you go. Wearing our hearts on our sleeves on that one. You already know the conclusion.
That's literally going to be me sat there. I think we do that one like inside the actor's studio. I'm just asking you questions that can lead up to you just ending every one with, in conclusion, fuck David Cage.
Yeah. No, I think
I think we've covered everything. I think we've talked about open world games.
I think I think it's been alright. It's been okay.
We've done okay. We'd still like more questions. But we'd still like, to be fair, at this point, I'd like more listeners.
Just fucking listen to
Yeah,
it.
I'd like more listeners at this point.
Not too bothered about people asking
Questions.
questions.
Right, so do you know what we need to do?
What?
That's another idea for an episode.
What?
We need to get your wife, my fiance, on to talk about living with someone who plays a lot of games and the games they themselves have played. That could be the most awkward, soul-destroying episode for us both.
I think it'd just reveal a lot.
Just be us getting yelled at.
Why are you up till that time playing this? You wake me up every time you come to bed. Yeah, sorry.
So you delved then, didn't you?
Yeah.
You shared then, is what you did.
You
shared.
Sorry, public
Okay,
sharing.
right. Anyway, you can find us on Twitter at Super Thundercast.
You can.
I can't remember how you spell Super Thundercast. Holy shit! I've forgotten my Twitter handle. Oh my god, you forgot the logins, now I've forgotten the full handle.
Fucked.
No, we're not. I'm going to find it.
We're
I'm going to
fucked.
find it. We were doing so well. We were so professional.
I just kept saying just random games that I'm like, that could work as open world.
There you go.
Got it?
It's at Super Thundercast, but you just take the E out of Super. That's the easiest way to remember it. So it's not quite as super as it should be. So it's Super Thundercast. And then you can find me at El Wervo.
You can find me at Alabaster Mage.
Yeah. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.